Manfred Spider wrote many years ago an essay about this villa. And in this villa there is a quotation from the diary of Bruno Taut. And in this diary he wrote, das Haus ist nicht gebaut worden, um fotografiert zu werden. The building, the villa was not built to be photographed.
Great.
So I'm very interested to say how you have solved this problem, this question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for coming here today. I would like to thank Professor Spider and Professor Hyuga and the formal, all the students that we had great help in putting on, as you heard earlier, in preparing for this, and Professor Radovich and the students from Taut and Clough. So really, thank you. This couldn't have been done without all of your help. It really is a collaborative effort, an international collaborative effort, and that's one thing I really like about this, the international aspect. We have a German designer, we have an Italian architect, an American photographer in Japan coming back to Italy. So really, thank you all very much for coming out today. So I have been a lover of photography since first being exposed to the craft through the lens of a Graflex 22 in the 1970s. And for 10 years I called Japan my home, and it is very regrettable for me that I found my love of architectural photography immediately after leaving Japan. So in the years since then, I left Japan 16 years ago. In the years since then, I've tried to make up for lost time. And today, I would like to present my work in Japan, share my thoughts on the process of photographing historic structures and what that process means to me, and give you an insight on how I go about to frame and capture and develop situations into a photograph. The images I have chosen to share today, they're all a part of a lifelong journey. And I've learned in life everything is connected. And although in unthinkable ways and unfathomable ways, and it's kind of up to us to find those connections. And while this may not appear to be connected to my photographic historic buildings in Japan, it really is in very close ways. So we pick up this journey 6 years ago out of curiosity for the traditional farmhouses in Japan known as menka, as seen here. I attended a lecture at Colby College in my home state of Maine. The speaker was a Japanese architect and author, Yoshihiro Takeshita. And Mr. Takeshita is widely known for his specialty of menka preservation. He deconstructs the menka and reconstructs actually around the world. And his presentation was wonderful, and I just loved everything that he had to say that day, and I was enthralled by the whole process. I was really intrigued by the various natural materials used in the menka, as seen here. And it's I found it a reflection of sourcing natural materials locally, something that is, this is done hundreds of years ago. Now it's kind of hip and trendy to do so. But I was also fascinated by the community effort in the construction of the farmhouses themselves. And also, I love history, and I just found the Minka, this really resonated with my nostalgic heart that I have. So, in this series of images, these were all taken at an open-air museum. Minka from all over Japan have been moved to this centralized location in Kawasaki City, not far from Tokyo. And actually, to my knowledge, Mr. Takeshita's work is not involved with these pictures. I provide them today just as a visual reference for you. And I was intrigued, as always, by the interaction and interplay of the various natural materials, the wood, the thatch, and the rope. So I attended Mr. Takeshita's lecture and left deeply impressed with all that he had to say. And I really wanted to connect with him, but I had no means to do so, and the college would not give me his information. And so I left the lecture, and I thought I'd never have an opportunity to connect with him. And a few months later, the opportunity to travel to Japan came up, and in 2010, I left for Tokyo for a 1-month period, and it is this point that fate intervened. So seen here is the entrance to, it's known as the Kuso Yasuda residence in Sendagi, Tokyo. It is a property of the Japan National Trust. It was listed in a magazine that my wife found, and she strongly suggested that we visit this because she knew my love for the historic architecture. So we took a series of subways and trains across the Tokyo metropolis, and this is actually up on a hill somewhat, and we ran from the station up the hill, and we get to this front gate, and we were met by the gate attendant, and she said, "Safe!" So by less than 30 seconds, we made it in time. And I look at it as 30 seconds that has changed my life. What struck me about the Yasuda house, and what I tried to capture in my photographs, was the exquisite craftsmanship, the exacting details that were thought out, and the intricacies and use of material. It was built to take advantage of its natural surroundings and to appreciate the natural environment, such as in the moon viewing rock, which I believe was here, off of one of the first floor verandas. It was completed in 1919 for a Japanese industrialist, and the home is a testament, in my opinion, to the exact and precise standards of Japanese craftsmanship. There is detail in every nook and cranny of the home, and nothing but the finest material was used in its carefully planned construction. Here we see the family name, Yasuda, on an old and well-preserved paper lantern known as chochi in Japanese. In the images I have chosen, you see the quintessential nature of the famed sense of Japanese minimalism. Beauty in what is not shown, along with what is. I wanted to capture the feel of the tatami straw mats under my feet and the well-worn wooden floors. I wanted to capture the touch of those, and also the simplicity which is offered in each room. It is one glorious surprise after another as one walks through the Yasuda house. Here I was intrigued by, and maybe the architects in the room can correct me if I'm wrong, but the tatami has a standard width. And I was intrigued by the use of the wooden floor planking, maybe to extend the width of the hallway. I'm not sure, but it certainly caught my attention. Note also the long bank of windows ushering in the natural light. The challenge here was to photograph the qualities of the home in its natural ambient light and let the shadow areas tell another story. The author, Junichiro Tanizaki, wrote in his wonderful 1933 essay in praise of shadows that Westerners were always seeking light and clarity in order to progress, while the Japanese appreciated shadow and subtlety. Tanizaki wrote, "And so it has come to be that the beauty of a Japanese room depends on a variation of shadows, heavy shadows against light shadows. It has nothing else." And he continued, "Whenever I see the alcove of a tastefully built Japanese room, I marvel at our comprehension of the secrets of shadows, our sensitive use of shadow and light. As for me, I aspire to comprehend the secrets of shadows that Tanizaki wrote of. It's a marvelous and thought-provoking idea, I think, for any photographer." At the end of our tour, in talking to our wonderful guide at Yasuda House, I realized that we shared many common interests, and there was a voice deep inside me, kind of prodding and prompting me to ask her if, I mentioned Mr. Takeshita, my untraceable architect and great preserver of Minka. So I asked her, and she threw back my question with two of her own, and her eyes lit up. She goes, "Do you mean Yoshi? He's a good friend of mine. Would you like to meet him?" So 1 week later, I was high above the Pacific Ocean, overlooking Kamakura, the ancient seaside capital of Japan, all the while enjoying a grand feast prepared by Mr. Takeshita in his wonderfully beautiful reconstructed makeup. Treasured moments, and we have remained friends to this day. And for whatever unknown reasons my path in life crossed with my Yasuda House guide's path that day. I don't know why it happened, but as she summed up on the day we met, we are connected by an invisible thread. And I just love that expression. And that thread did not stop in Kamakura. I am drawn for an undefined reason to the sensibilities of Japanese architecture, not understanding why exactly, but recognizing and desiring to photograph the resulting beauty. Sometimes it is something evocative. In this case, the way the curtains were drawn and the woodwork stopped me in my tracks. When taking this photo, I couldn't help but wonder if the author Tanizaki sat in this very chair, as it is a hotel that he frequented, Kyunkaku, also in Atami City. The traditional built environment is beautiful in Japan, and especially when it is adorned with natural beauty. Here, this is an exterior shot of the hotel Kyunkaku. In my opinion, the designer made it very easy to photograph. We have the S-curve of a stone path, the foreground element of the pond, and the overreaching, overhanging pine branch, providing a natural frame to the building. In my work of documenting historic Japanese architecture, as seen already, I'm drawn to photographing the use and interplay of various natural materials. I am also drawn to photographing details that repeat, seen here in these two pictures. Once in a while, you come across something so unique, it demands attention. Here, the old and the new, together combining to make what I found to be a profound statement. A splash of complementary color to add dynamism and interest to a composition. Other times, it may simply be the durability of a structure that captures my attention. Here's a glimpse to a building called Hongokan, not far from Yasuda House, actually. This was a 3-story wooden structure built in 1905 and originally used as a boarding house for Tokyo Girls High School. I photographed this in July of 2011, and just recently, actually in preparation for today, I learned that the structure was torn down, demolished just 1 month after I took this photo. Here it is again. It's an additional slide of the building, and admittedly, it's taken at the wrong time of the day. I'm looking into the sun, but I will never have another opportunity to photograph it, so I present it today. Looking at various historic structures now, many are alone in a sea of modernity, dwarfed by the towering magnitude of 20th century technologies. Yet shining stately just the same. And upon closer inspection, dwarfed no more. In fact, rising above the giants in a grand metaphorical sense. So a year after my 2010 trip to Japan, the Yasuda House and Kamakura, I desired to see new sights and go to places unknown. But in fact, my feet had memory, and I went back to Japan, into the great known. And little did I know where that invisible thread was leading. And actually, it's taken me 5 years to discover. Of course, to my delight, my Yasuda House guide, upon learning that I was returning in 2011, suggested that she thought that I might like to photograph a historic building in Atami City, designed by Bruno Taut, the Hyuga Bete. And on my behalf, she secured permission, and special arrangements were made for me to photograph. And I came to learn it is a privilege few are granted. The photographs you see are my interpretation of the space and my limited access in that space. I feel the name of this exhibition really sums up what I encountered upon entering. West of Japan, east of Europe. Once again, the challenge of balancing the existing ambient light, both light and dark, was my #1 concern. I was struck by the time warp quality that enveloped the space. And so with a tripod, my camera, and 4 lenses, I set about my task, all the while being met by various elements that demanded my attention. The flowered wallpaper on the sliding door known as Fusuma. The light bulbs hanging deliberately around the wire on either side of the first room, the ping pong room, just, I suppose, as they were hung originally over 70 years ago. In here, the irregular pattern of wood, almost a herringbone pattern, really caught my eye in its marked contrast to the other lines and 90-degree angles of the space. I am drawn to photographing the blending of natural materials to form the whole, from bamboo to twine to the multiple and various species of wood. Scantily furnished, and yet so much to take in, to absorb, and to process. In this next series of 5 images, I would like to allow you a short time yourselves to absorb and to process and view in silence. The uniqueness also captured my interest, as seen here in this next series of images. Having never seen anything like this, I was curious and wanted to document all that met my eye. And as you've seen this slide from Marco's presentation, but I had never seen something like this before. The bamboo railing with the use of the rope for support. And also the way the bamboo baluster interacted with the stair tread. Again, I've never seen anything like it and had to photograph it. The bamboo wall that we saw a few minutes ago, it's concealing something, but what? It's a cubby for a telephone. So let's go back. I don't know if you saw it the first time, but okay. Forward.
Oh, boy.
So, beyond the trees is Sagami Bay, the Pacific Ocean. Again, the overhanging lights. This short rail system I found photogenic for the craftsmanship and the wood. It just really grabbed my attention, the colors. So I photographed the 3 rooms and the grounds, and I left moved and impressed. I posted to my blog of my efforts that day, and unbeknownst to me, that invisible thread I had mentioned was still weaving its way through and around my life, and it was pulling me in tow all the way to Venice. In my time before you today, I have attempted to show why I photograph what I do and what I look for in a photograph. Each new space brings with it new challenges and new opportunities. Whenever I enter a new space or see a new building, I immediately start to create mental images in my mind of how I want that space or that building to look in a 2-dimensional photograph. And then I proceed to recreate that mental image in the camera. It provides unending joy for me, and I am thankful for what I do and for the places it has brought me. But fundamentally, and at the root of it all, is the human element that provides me with the greatest gratification and inspiration. There is a reason we meet the people we do in our lives, and it is up to us to find that reason. Sometimes this is obviously evident. Usually, it isn't. It's as though a mystery is shrouded under layers of complexity and uncertainty, lacking both sense and understanding. But at the root, there's not only sense, but meaning as well. I thank all of you very much and wish you the very best in discovering the invisible threads in your own lives and to the images that may follow.